What if I told you that the way men treat you has less to do with them and everything to do with how you treat yourself? The moment you shift how you see, speak to, and show up for yourself is the moment everything around you begins to change. Not someday, instantly. Because when you start walking like a queen, the world has no choice but to rise and recognize your crown. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. This truth is subtle yet incredibly powerful. People around you, especially men in intimate or close relationships, are always observing how you show up for yourself. They notice the standards you set, the way you handle disappointment, how you speak to yourself, and how you allow others to speak to you. These cues, often silent and unspoken, create a blueprint that others follow when interacting with you. If you constantly put your own needs at the bottom of the list, tolerate disrespect, or silence your voice just to keep peace, then you're silently giving others permission to do the same. When a woman holds herself in high regard, not with arrogance but with grace, that becomes the energy she radiates. She doesn't need to announce her worth because it's evident in how she carries herself. It's in the calmness with which she says no, the clarity in her boundaries, and the confidence in her choices. Men in particular respond to this energy, not because it intimidates them, but because it commands a different level of attention. They understand, consciously or not, that this is not someone they can treat casually or carelessly. This is someone who will not settle, someone who demands respect, not through fear or control, but through self-honor. On the other hand, when a woman constantly sacrifices herself for the sake of being loved, when she accepts inconsistent affection, and when she clings to people who make her feel small, she unknowingly teaches them that her love is available without regard. The treatment she receives begins to mirror the treatment she gives herself. And often it's not because others are malicious, it's because they take their cues from what she models. The problem isn't always what people do to her, but what she continues to allow. Rewriting this pattern begins with small but deliberate acts. Speaking kindly to yourself when you fail. Taking care of your body, not out of shame, but out of love. Walking away from those who don't value you, even if it hurts. Choosing solitude over settling. These moments matter. They tell the world who you are. And when you begin living as someone worthy of tenderness, commitment, and care, the people who come into your life will either rise to meet you or naturally fall away. You begin to create a new emotional environment, one in which only love that reflects your inner value can survive. That is the unshakable foundation. Not a mask of confidence, not a performance of strength, but a lived and breathed self-respect that transforms how you are seen, heard, and held. The change doesn't begin when others treat you better. It begins when you no longer accept anything less than what honors you. Because what you tolerate, you teach. And what you embody, you attract. Clear communication creates clarity in expectations. When you speak your truth openly and respectfully, you remove the guessing game from relationships. Many women grow up learning to keep the peace, to be agreeable, or to hide their needs for fear of being too much or too needy. But this silence often becomes a trap. It creates space for assumptions, misunderstandings, and unmet expectations that fester into resentment. Men are not mind readers. They can't respond to what they don't know. If you want to be treated with respect, affection, or commitment, you have to express what that looks like for you. When you articulate your needs clearly, you are not demanding, you are offering guidance. Communication is not about control, it's about connection. It's not about telling someone how they should act, it's about revealing who you are and what makes you feel safe, valued, and seen. This honesty invites deeper intimacy. When you say, "It hurts me when I feel ignored," or "I need consistency to feel secure," you give the other person a chance to understand the language of your heart. And a man who genuinely cares will want to speak that language. He won't always get it right at first, but clear communication gives him a map. Without it, he's walking blind. But many people hesitate to be this direct because they're afraid of pushing others away. They fear that if they speak up, they'll be seen as difficult, emotional, or demanding. What actually happens is the opposite. When you express your needs with calmness and conviction, you show strength and emotional maturity. You build a relationship where both people can be fully seen, not just half-loved versions of themselves. This is especially true in romantic relationships, where early clarity sets the tone for everything that follows. If you're unclear about what you want, you're more likely to accept whatever you're given. Men respect women who know themselves, and one of the clearest ways to show you know yourself is through communication. Not passive hints, not silent treatment, not over-explaining or apologizing for how you feel. Just clear, heartfelt statements about what you value and what you won't tolerate. This kind of honesty might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been used to hiding or shrinking your needs. But in time, it becomes a powerful tool, not to change others, but to protect your peace. Healthy communication is not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about choosing to show up authentically rather than performing what you think someone else wants from you. When you do this, the right man, one who is emotionally available and ready for real connection, will not only hear you, he'll thank you for making it easier to love you right. Clarity breeds respect, and when respect becomes the foundation, everything else begins to flow with ease. Speaking your truth becomes the bridge between who you are and the love you deserve. Emotional honesty opens the door to deeper connection. Many women grow up learning to suppress their feelings to avoid being judged, rejected, or labeled as too emotional. But the truth is, your emotions are not flaws. They are signals, guides, and openings into your most authentic self. When you deny or hide your feelings, you create emotional distance, not just from others, but from yourself. You might smile when you're hurting and agree when you want to say no, or stay silent when something inside you is screaming for truth. Over time, this disconnect builds a wall between who you are and how you show up in relationships. And men can't connect to a version of you that isn't real. Being emotionally honest doesn't mean sharing everything all the time or becoming overly dramatic. It means allowing your real self to be seen even when it feels vulnerable. It's saying, I feel lonely, instead of pretending you're fine. It's admitting, that hurt me, instead of laughing it off. It's standing in your truth even when it's raw or messy, because you know that being real is more powerful than being perfect. When you show up this way, you create a safe emotional space. You give permission for deeper dialogue, not just surface level conversation. Men respond to emotional authenticity in ways that often surprise women. When you express your emotions clearly and without blame, it removes the need for guessing and defensiveness. You're not attacking. You're inviting understanding. A man who is capable of emotional intimacy will not run from your feelings. He will be drawn closer by them. He might not always know what to say, but your honesty becomes an anchor. It gives him insight into what you're experiencing and how to support you in a real, meaningful way. Too often people confuse emotional honesty with weakness, when in reality it takes deep courage to be vulnerable. It requires you to stay rooted in your worth, even as you open up about what hurts, what scares you, or what you deeply long for. It's in those moments that trust is built. Because when a man sees that you're willing to be fully present with your emotions, it invites him to do the same. It teaches him that this relationship is a place where truth is welcome, not punished. And that foundation leads to a connection that is not only loving, but lasting. There is strength in saying, this is how I feel, and I'm willing to share it with you. That single act dissolves masks, breaks down emotional walls, and fosters an atmosphere where real love can grow. The more honest you are with yourself, the more authentic your relationships become. And when emotional honesty is met with emotional maturity, the result is a kind of bond that cannot be faked. It's not built on performance or pretending. It's built on presence, truth, and the bravery of being seen. Personal boundaries are acts of self-love, not walls. They are not meant to keep people out, but to teach them how to come closer in ways that feel safe, respectful, and nourishing. Many women are taught that setting boundaries is rude or selfish, especially in romantic relationships. They are conditioned to believe that love means sacrifice and endurance even when it hurts. But love without boundaries quickly turns into self-abandonment. Without boundaries, you lose touch with what you need, what feels good, and what your limits are. And when you don't define those limits, others will define them for you, often in ways that don't serve your well-being. Boundaries are not about punishment, they're about clarity. They let others know what you will and won't accept, not from a place of anger, but from a place of deep self-respect. When a woman clearly communicates her boundaries, she sends a message: I know my value, I know what honors me, and I will protect that. This doesn't mean becoming rigid or emotionally unavailable. It means being so in tune with your needs that you can express them with grace. It means not abandoning yourself just to make someone else comfortable. When you consistently uphold your boundaries, men begin to see you differently. You're no longer someone they can treat casually or inconsistently. You become someone they must approach with care and intention, because they know that being in your life is a privilege, not a right. The way you hold your boundaries shapes the tone of your relationships. If you allow someone to repeatedly cross your lines without consequence, you send the signal that your needs are negotiable. But when you hold your boundaries firmly yet kindly, you create a standard, not just for how others treat you, but for how they treat themselves. Healthy men respect women with strong boundaries. These boundaries don't repel love, they refine it. They filter out what isn't real already and make room for what is true and worthy. A man who is emotionally available and grounded will not be threatened by your limits. In fact, he'll be drawn to them because they reflect a woman who knows herself and values her peace. He will step up, listen more carefully, and engage more respectfully because he understands that access to your heart requires emotional responsibility. Boundaries also help protect your emotional energy. They prevent you from overgiving, over-explaining, or overextending yourself in relationships that take more than they give. Instead of losing yourself trying to prove your worth, you remain centered in it. This makes you more powerful, more magnetic, and more peaceful. You stop trying to earn love and begin choosing it from a place of wholeness. And from this place, you no longer fear losing someone because you're no longer afraid of being alone. You've built a home within yourself where your needs matter, where your voice is heard, and where your heart is safe, not just from others, but with yourself. Healing your inner narrative shifts your outer reality. Every belief you carry about yourself, whether spoken or silent, shapes the way you move through relationships. If deep inside you believe you're not enough, that love must be earned, or that your worth depends on how others see you, then that belief will color every interaction. You'll seek approval, validation, and attention to feel safe, yet no amount of external love can ever satisfy an internal wound. The way you see yourself determines the kind of love you accept, the kind of behavior you tolerate, and the kind of energy you attract. Until you heal the story you've been telling yourself, you will keep replaying the same patterns in different people. Many women carry unhealed stories from childhood, past relationships, or moments where they felt unseen or unloved. These stories don't disappear with time. They root themselves into your sense of identity, whispering to you in moments of vulnerability. They tell you to settle. They convince you to chase someone who pulls away. They keep you quiet when your heart wants to speak. Healing doesn't mean forgetting or pretending it didn't hurt. It means facing those stories with compassion, rewriting them, and no longer letting them define you. It means recognizing the moment you believed you were unworthy and deciding to believe something new. When you shift your inner dialogue from criticism to kindness, from fear to faith, everything outside you begins to respond. You stop choosing people who reflect your pain and begin choosing those who reflect your peace. You stop staying in situations that drain you because the part of you that once accepted that treatment no longer exists. A healed woman does not need to be perfect. She simply needs to know that her value is not up for debate. She no longer waits for someone to choose her because she has already chosen herself. Men respond deeply to this kind of energy. When a woman carries herself with the quiet confidence that comes from healing, it's not loud or flashy, it's grounded. She is not seeking constant reassurance because she has built trust within herself. She's not triggered by silence because she's not afraid of being alone. She's not performing to be loved, she's showing up to be seen. That shift changes everything. It sets a different tone in the relationship. It calls for depth, not games. It invites truth, not confusion. The outer world mirrors the inner world. When your inner world is full of unresolved pain, your relationships will keep reminding you of that pain. But when you make peace with your past, when you become the love you were always seeking, people start meeting you with more care, more presence, and more respect. You no longer need them to complete you. You simply welcome them to walk beside you. That is the power of healing your narrative. It doesn't just change how you feel, it transforms what you allow, what you attract, and how you are loved. Confidence grounded in compassion creates magnetic energy. It's not the loudest person in the room who commands attention, but the one who moves through life with quiet assurance and a gentle strength. Real confidence doesn't come from ego or dominance. It comes from knowing who you are and standing firmly in that truth without needing to prove it to anyone. And when that confidence is balanced with compassion toward yourself and others, it creates a presence that draws people in. Men in particular respond to this balance because it represents emotional maturity. It shows that you don't just demand respect, you offer it as well, starting with yourself. Many people mistake confidence for perfection, for being bold at all times or never showing weakness, but authentic confidence is deeply human. It's rooted in self-acceptance, in being able to show up with your flaws, your insecurities, and your boundaries without shame. It's knowing that you can take up space without apology and still treat others with kindness and empathy. This combination makes a woman incredibly attractive, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. She becomes someone others feel safe around, someone who doesn't need to control, chase, or convince because her energy already speaks for her. This kind of woman doesn't rely on external validation to feel worthy. She may appreciate a compliment, but she doesn't depend on it to feel beautiful. She enjoys connection, but she doesn't lose herself in it. Her confidence allows her to say no when something doesn't align with her values, and her compassion allows her to do it with grace. She doesn't try to shrink to fit someone's comfort zone, nor does she puff herself up to feel powerful. Instead, she simply remains centered, responding rather than reacting, grounded rather than grasping. So when a man encounters this type of woman, it shifts something in him. She's not playing games or pretending to be someone she's not. She's present, aware, and emotionally intelligent. She listens without judgment, speaks without fear, and loves without losing herself. This creates a relationship dynamic that feels deeply nourishing and refreshing. He knows where she stands because she's clear within herself. There's no chaos, no drama, no confusion, just a calm, radiant clarity. What makes this energy magnetic is that it's rare. So many people lead with performance, trying to be what they think others want. But when you lead with authenticity, with a heart full of self-respect and a spirit full of compassion, you stand out effortlessly. You inspire trust, not through force, but through presence. And trust becomes the foundation for everything else: intimacy, respect, and lasting connection. The combination of confidence and compassion is not only powerful, it's irresistible. It creates a gravitational pull that doesn't just attract love, but elevates the quality of love you experience. You are no longer waiting to be seen as a queen. You are living as one, and those around you rise to reflect that truth. When you begin to treat yourself with unwavering respect, when you speak your truth with clarity, allow your emotions to be seen, hold strong and loving boundaries, heal the old stories that once made you shrink, and walk with a confidence rooted in compassion, you no longer chase being treated like a queen. You become one, not because someone crowned you, but because you remembered who you are. And the world, especially the men around you, will feel that shift They will rise to meet the standard you've set, not with words, but with the way you show up. Love that once felt confusing will begin to feel clear. Relationships that once drained you will no longer feel like home. And those who truly see your worth will treat you accordingly. Because when a woman reclaims her value, everything around her realigns to honor it.